Let's talk about the WNBA and the league's demise now that Caitlin Clark is no longer going to play this season. The WNBA and the Indiana Fever, Stephanie White, Amber Cox, all the way up and including, let's just keep it real, Kathy Engelbert, Adam Silver, the National Basketball Association, everybody that participated in the farce.
Caitlin Clark's rookie season has come to a premature end, and the WNBA has no one to blame but itself. What started as a quad strain in May spiraled into recurring groin issues through June and July, before culminating in a bone bruise in August. One injury after another, her body simply couldn't hold up under the relentless physical punishment. Clark's absence isn't just a setback for her, it's a full-scale crisis for the league. Poor officiating, lack of accountability, and the unchecked targeting of its brightest star have turned what should have been a historic year into a cautionary tale. Frustrated fans are demanding answers, refunds, and even threatening boycotts. And the league's response? Deafening silence. How did the WNBA allow its most valuable player to break down after only 13 games? And where does Commissioner Kathy Engelbert stand in all of this? Share your thoughts below. Do you think the WNBA failed Caitlin Clark?
Caitlin Clark, out for the remainder of the 2025 season, something we all think we knew was coming after what Stephanie White said earlier today. We couldn't be too sure until we see it for ourselves. And with this announcement from the GOAT's mouth herself, Caitlin Clark won't be returning this season, nor if the Indiana Fever make the...
How many times did the referees just look straight ahead while Clark was slammed into a screen, yanked by her jersey, or flat out knocked off balance, only to act like nothing happened? That's the part that sticks with fans. Everyone saw it, live, possession after possession. Clark would fight through a curl and immediately get drilled, shoved into help defense, even swarmed by a double team before she could so much as catch the ball. The officials had endless opportunities to call it. Instead, they swallowed the whistle. And it wasn't just perception. It became a documented pattern, one the Washington Post later confirmed in print. This wasn't about a single team playing physical. It was a league-wide trend, every opponent taking liberties with the player who, almost overnight, became the face of the sport.
It all started last year, in her rookie season, where she received 20% of all the flagrant fouls in the league. And most of them came from Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky. And these weren't basketball plays. They were not only fouling her, but they were getting up, laughing about it, laughing about Caitlin Clark getting assaulted. Any other work environment, people go to jail for what's...
The league's biggest attraction, the player single-handedly driving not just her own franchise but half of the WNBA's ratings surge, was left completely unprotected. Think about that. One athlete filling arenas in Dallas, Las Vegas, New York, and Chicago should have been safeguarded like the investment she clearly was instead. While networks cashed in with record-breaking broadcast deals built on her name, referees refused to give her even the baseline respect that stars in every other league receive nightly. What fans got instead was chaos, defenders crashing into her off the ball, hand checks that killed her cuts before they began, and physical contact that magically became a foul for anyone except Caitlin Clark.
WNBA and all the people that follow the WNBA and try to promote the WNBA don't understand that Caitlin Clark's game resonates with us. I say this every day, and every day I got to deal with somebody else dumb in the media. Caitlin Clark's game resonates because she's got flair, she's got flash, she's got style. I said this before, and I'll say this again. We saw Sue Bird's game. We saw Diana Taurasi's game. Kim Mulkey was Sue Bird before Sue Bird became Sue Bird. We've seen it. We haven't seen Caitlin.
This wasn't just frustrating to watch. It was flat-out dangerous. Cheap shots don't just leave a player sore. They pile up, week after week, breaking the body down piece by piece. Clark's quad tightening in May and her groin flaring through June weren't random flukes. They were the predictable result of repeated hits, twisted pivots from being denied space, and unprotected landings that should have been whistled dead. That's exactly how stress injuries build, slowly, relentlessly, until they demand extended rest. But Clark never got that chance. She was forced to push through every knock and bruise, because the alternative would have been empty arenas full of fans who had already paid to see her play.
Last year, I noticed how much it was just Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark was taking all the hits. Caitlin Clark was taking all the abuse. But this year they've added Sophie Cunningham. She gets more flagrant fouls on her than anybody in the league besides Caitlin Clark. And Aaliyah Boston, she's been taking hits as well. But the worst thing is the consistency. So they don't call flagrant fouls, or most of the time, Caitlin Clark could be held for an entire game at a time. They don't call fouls. They don't call common fouls.
That's why fans call it hypocrisy. The WNBA celebrated record ticket sales, surging merchandise orders, and sponsorship deals built on Caitlin Clark's name. They plastered her across headlines as the league's golden ticket. But when it came to the simplest responsibility, protecting the very player funding those paydays, the league suddenly treated her like just another rookie. She wasn't. And by letting her absorb hit after hit, night after night, the WNBA didn't just tilt box scores. They gambled with the integrity of the entire season.
Folks that cover the NBA, these people that play in the NBA, these people that cover the NBA. There, I said these people, all of you. Black, white, green, purple. Why don't you understand a very simple thing? Her game is dynamic. Like Diana Taurasi was like a jackass to Caitlin Clark. Why? Her game is what people are drawn to. And then you go to the personality. Her game is different than any WNBA woman ever. And she wins, and she shoots from deep. It's no different than Steph Curry. How many times we got...
So, what happens when your golden goose can't take the floor anymore? What happens when the league refuses to call fouls? And the end result is your biggest star limping instead of leading the break. We just found out. The referee's negligence didn't just skew a few box scores. It laid the foundation for Caitlin Clark's season-ending collapse. And the backlash didn't stay between the lines. It spread across fan bases, media outlets, and sponsors. Was Clark's sophomore season doomed from the very start? Looking back, it feels that way. Go all the way back to training camp in May. Reports already hinted at a tightening quad, an injury most athletes would have rested to prevent long-term damage. Instead, Clark was pushed front and center in every practice, every promotional event, every marketing campaign. By June, that nagging issue evolved into a groin injury. By July, it tore completely on the right side. And then came the announcement no one wanted to hear. Clark was finished for the year. Her downfall wasn't a single moment. It was a chain of choices, every one of them stripping her of the chance to recover before it was too late.
It's a gut punch that basically encompasses an entire season of them. The Fever have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a wait for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. And then, the anticipation of her possibly coming back, only for that not to happen, takes a lot of air out of the room, obviously takes a lot of energy out of the fans, and is a devastating blow for not just the Fever and the WN.
What stings the most is that Clark never really had a stretch where she was fully healthy. She was slapped with the day-to-day tag at least 3 different times, each one wrapped in the word precautionary as if that made it reassuring. But in the WNBA, precautionary apparently meant your biggest star squeezing in a rushed treatment session, getting taped up, and being shoved back on the court that same weekend. It was like watching someone try to sprint on one leg while being told they were perfectly fine.
Clark, a 2-time All-Star and the 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year, has been sidelined suffering a right groin injury during the Fever's 87-77 win over the Connecticut Sun on July 15th. If you guys remember that game, Caitlin Clark put the team on her back in the winding minutes to give the Indiana Fever that lead. Clark also suffered a bone bruise at a later date during her recovery.
That's where the mismanagement becomes undeniable. Anyone who follows sports knows injuries pile up when you don't allow them to heal. Forcing Clark through back-to-back games, endless defensive pressure, and constant travel didn't just risk setbacks. It all but guaranteed them. The warning signs were obvious. Her first step wasn't as sharp, her cuts lacked precision, and the grimace on her face told the story every minute she stayed on the floor. Coaches had to see it, and the medical staff's responsibility was to protect her, even if Clark insisted she could play. Instead, they failed her.
Has worked so hard throughout this time, doing everything possible to recover and return to the court, but ultimately, time is not on our side, said Indiana Fever COO and GM Amber Cox. While we wait, while we will continue working with Caitlin and provide her with every resource we have available, there is not enough time left in our season for her to safely return. And her long-term health and well-being remains our top priority. We are looking forward to having her back at full strength to start the 2026 season. Clark appeared in 13 games during the regular season, averaging 16.5 points, 8.8 assists, and 5 rebounds per game, while helping lead the team to the 2025 WNBA Commissioners.
Think about the hours she poured in just for a chance to come back, grinding in the gym, strengthening everything around the injury, only to end up back at square one. Meanwhile, fans kept hearing reports of probable return dates, but inside the locker room it was clear her body wasn't responding. The public was strung along. Arenas promoted road matchups with Clark's name. Tickets sold out on the promise of seeing her. Yet the truth was she was never close to 100%. That disconnect still stings.